my name is Brooke Zeltzer, and today I'm going to be discussing acid rain, the causes, effects, and solutions to it. So before discussing what acid rain actually is, I'm going to discuss what it means for something to be acidic. So acidic and basic are two ways of describing a chemical compound. So a way to measure that would be on the pH scale. So something 7 on the pH scale would be considered neutral, and an example of that would just be pure water. If you move up on the pH scale, that would be going towards basic, something like a soapy substance. And if you go down on the pH scale, that's where we find acidic compounds, something like lemon juice, water, or even hydrochloric acid would be something that would be considered extremely acidic. So just some properties of acids and bases. So bases, they neutralize acids, they have a bitter taste, they have a slippery texture, and they react with oils and fats. Properties of acids, they neutralize bases, they have a sour taste, they have a sticky texture, and they react with metals. So what is acid rain? Acid rain is a type of acid deposition. So there's two types of acid depositions, one is dry, one is wet. So dry acid deposition would be considered gas and other types of particles, where wet acid deposition is considered rain, snow, sleet, hail, fog, mist, anything like that. So a quick definition of what acid rain is. Acid rain is rainfall made sufficiently acidic by atmospheric pollution causing environmental harm, typically to forests and lakes. So what causes acid rain? There's basically two main ingredients to acid rain, the cause of acid rain, which would be sulfur and nitrogen. So first off, sulfur. So when coal and oil are burned, they emit sulfur. Sulfur combines with oxygen to create sulfur dioxide, and this is what the molecule of what it looks like. So when sulfur dioxide travels and comes in contact with ozone, sulfur trioxide is formed. Now sulfur trioxide is what is diluted into water particles, and that will eventually become acid rain. So the second main ingredient to acid rain would be nitrogen. So just like sulfur, when oil and coal are heated, nitrogen is released, and that can combine with oxygen in the atmosphere to form nitrogen oxide or nitrogen dioxide. Now in terms of acid rain, we would discuss it as NOx. NOx is the sum of nitrogen oxide and nitrogen dioxide in a given parcel of air. So this creates nitric and nitrous acid, which is dissolvable in water and is what then becomes acid rain. So a lot of people don't understand that there actually are natural causes to acid rain. So the first one would be forest fires. Another one would be lightning. And finally, volcanic eruptions. Those are all causes to acid rain. But natural occurrences are only 10% of the cause of acid rain, whereas 90% of the causes of acid rain are from man-made sources. So there's three types of man-made sources. The first type would be a point source. A point source emits more than 10 tons of hazardous pollutants per year. So examples of that would be large factories, power plants, or anything that's a smokestack facility. An area source is another type of man-made source, so that emits less than 10 tons of hazardous air pollutants per year, and that would be more considered a small factory or small businesses such as gas stations or auto body shops. Now the third type of man-made source would be a mobile source. So individually, they emit less than 1 ton of hazardous air pollutant per year. So individually meaning individual cars, individual buses, planes, trucks, but together, worldwide, they actually account for 75% of the hazardous pollutants emitted per year. So the effects of acid rain, the first would be on aquatic environments. So an aquatic environment typically has an acid or has a pH level somewhere between 8 and 6. But what acid rain does is that it intensifies the acidity in an aquatic environment, making it somewhere between 6 to 4.5. So what happens to an aquatic environment? Individual fish can be killed, it can reduce the fish population, and it could completely eliminate fish species. But also, it doesn't just affect fish, it obviously affects all living organisms within the biodiversity, and it just completely decreases the vast biodiversity within the aquatic system. So another effect of acid rain would be on forest and land environments. So forest and land environments, there would be slower growth, the land environments would be more prone to injury, such as degradation of soil, and there could just be death to forests. It also kills leaves and needles in the trees, and the leaves and needles in the trees are actually what hold the most nutrients in the tree, so by killing these leaves and needles, we're also decreasing the amount of oxygen that is supplied to our atmosphere. So another effect would be on structures and material goods. So acid rain is extremely corrosive to metals. So cars, metal structures, buildings, they would start to rust and corrode much quicker. It's destructive to paint and stone, and overall it just reduces the societal value of buildings, bridges, cultural objects, such as famous statues and tombstones. So there are some solutions. One of the solutions would be something called a scrubber. So in a typical factory, there's when everything is, the broiler here is where all of the hazardous air pollutants go, and typically there's a smokestack on top of the broiler which lets them out into the atmosphere. Now what a scrubber is, it's just an extra piece of equipment, and inside the what is called a scrubber are sprayers with different chemical compounds that spray these air pollutants, and then the smokestack is typically above the scrubber, and that's where the rest of the air pollutants go. Now scrubbers can reduce the amount of air pollutants by between 50 to 98%. Something simple that we can easily do is extract coal a little bit differently. By extracting it in a cleaner way, it decreases the amount of sulfur that is actually in the coal. And also coal has a lot of residue on the outside of it, so by simply just cleaning it would decrease the amount of air pollutants that we're putting into our atmosphere. Now another interesting way that people are going about decreasing the acidity in lakes is it's called liming. So what it does is you're actually just taking limestone, and as you can see here, and just spraying it into the water. So limestone has a high basic level, so what it's doing is it's just neutralizing the acidity of the lake or body of water. Another thing that just governments, we should generally be doing is just investing in renewable energy sources that will be a considerable decrease to acid rain. And just some human solutions, just for us. Use energy efficient cars, properly maintain your vehicles, it reduces the amount of pollutants that we're putting into our air. Use energy efficient appliances in your homes, properly insulate your home, properly know how to use the air conditioner, properly know how to use the heater in your home. Walk and bicycle when possible, and just be well informed about what's going on around you. Okay, that's it. Thank you.